Hi guys, how you doing? All right, I just wanted to make a quick video regarding the latest incident from the Vice President of the Philippines, Leni Robredo. I'd just like to say firstly that it doesn't make any sense to me that you have a President of the Philippines who, when he goes on leave, when he goes on holiday, when he leaves the country, you would expect that the vice president would actually take over as president of the Republic of the Philippines. Now, how can that be the case when Leni Robredo is the official opposition and that she's criticizing the president of the Philippines? That makes no sense to me whatsoever. I believe that they should be working together for the good of the Philippine people. The vice president has a budget of between 700 million to 900 million pesos. Not only that, she has this fund where people can donate money to help people in terms of the pandemic and everything else. And you would have thought that all her social media would have been really positive, and you would have thought she'd have a good PR team behind her. But the reality is this latest spaghetti incident is an absolute disaster. Going back a little bit in history, when the vice president was photographed at the Holocaust War Memorial with her team, and they were smiling and wearing sunglasses like they were on holiday, whoever does her PR must have realized that that's a big no-no, that's a very solemn event, and this is a kind of place where people are supposed to be there with straight faces and praying some kind of tribute and kneeling down or whatever, and there she was kind of smiling or grinning. Now, I know she's apologized for that already, I understand that and I accept that. And then you have this whole incident with the Leni Lugao where she was serving rice porridge. I have nothing at all with helping people in poverty, and I applaud her for her efforts. Helping the poor is something that's very noble, something very good to do. But, there are ways of helping the poor. Even when she was giving out that rice porridge, it's one bowl of lugao. What's it going to do? It's not something that can be served up to the family. It's not a massive, great big pan of it. It was like a bowl of lugao. What's that going to achieve? And why does she need to hand it out? Why can't she have somebody in her team? If she has all this money in her budget and she wants to help the poor, why doesn't she have some kind of drive to do that? Why doesn't she employ a professional catering company with particular standards? So this is the latest incident. So basically, she's in a Bahay Kubu. Now, I have nothing wrong with a Bahay Kubu myself. In fact, I've stayed in one. I've even lived in one for a few days. I think that's absolutely fine. But, the fact is, she's preparing spaghetti. With the greatest respect, there might be flies. It's not going to be properly covered. She probably doesn't have professional catering within that Bahay Kubu. So, there isn't going to be a professional oven or whatsoever. So, you have to look at it very carefully. And you have to say, why didn't she employ a particular team? Why didn't she have a proper catering operation? And when you look at that spaghetti, with the greatest respect, my wife cooks the most amazing hi, Sarah. My wife cooks the most amazing Filipino spaghetti, which I absolutely love. And I know Filipino spaghetti has a ketchup, a tomato puree, a hot dog. It has jolly hot dogs or whatever. And it's something that's really, really nice and something that's really, really masarap. And when my wife makes a spaghetti, a Filipino spaghetti, it's very tasty, it's very red, it has lots of ingredients in it. And, it makes me think, with the greatest respect, even this spaghetti, as everybody said, and I quite agree, this spaghetti looks almost anemic. It has no colour, it doesn't look like it has any flavour, there's not enough sauce, there's not enough meat. And then there she is. She's handing out this spaghetti on a plate. Now, with the greatest respect, with the time of social distancing, with the time of the COVID pandemic, you would hope that she would be wearing proper gloves. It would be a proper catering operation. You know, the issue is, what happens if she hands out this spaghetti and somebody gets food poisoning or somebody gets affected by that? This is the vice president of the Republic of the Philippines with a 900 million peso budget, who's supposed to be dealing with strategic affairs, is supposed to be helping to alleviate poverty, is supposed to be supporting the president, supporting the country. With the greatest respect, would you ever see Boris Johnson handing out spaghetti, or President Trump handing out a plate of pale spaghetti, or President Biden or any other world leader standing in a soup kitchen handing out a bowl of rice porridge? You know, it's just not gonna happen. You know, it's really, really embarrassing. And then why did somebody take a photo of that? If they knew the spaghetti didn't look very good and it had walang flavor and walang ingredients, why did somebody even take a photo of that? What were they thinking? You know, with the greatest respect to the vice president of the Philippines, if she wanted to hand out maybe kanin and maybe sardinas and corned beef or whatever it is, nobody would mind. Nobody would bash her for that. But it just seems to me this is another PR disaster that has gone absolutely wrong. You know, I have to say that coming from the vice president of the Philippines, her standing in a bahay kubo, handing out a plate or giving a plate of spaghetti, wearing a mask and whatever she was doing, just looks utterly embarrassing. And I have to say, with the greatest respect, it does make the democracy, the country of the Philippines, look embarrassing. You know, she's embarrassed the country. As I said, a world leader. She is a world leader, with the greatest respect. Whatever you think about her, whatever people think about her, she was elected by many of the Filipino people. Now, we can all go on about the smart magic and everything else. This is not what the conversation is about today. The fact is, she is a world leader. She's on the world stage. Surely she has a PR team. You know, with her 900 million pesos, you would have thought that she would hire a professional PR team. You would have thought that she would have been able to hire a professional kitchen maybe, or maybe bought some sardinas or some rice, or maybe cook something a little bit better. You know, what might have been good is if she had even like, you know, like an ice cream van or some kind of van where she would distribute the food. There would be nothing wrong at all with her going to different provinces with some kind of catering van, Leni's catering van or Leni's spaghetti van or whatsoever. You know, that would have been absolutely fine. But to serve up this plate full up with large plate full up with spaghetti with absolutely no ingredients. You know, there's been various memes and there's been various photos online of this plate of spaghetti. And, you know, I can't see the meat. I can't see the hot dogs. You know, Filipino spaghetti is something to be admired across the world. You know, it's something that people really appreciate, and there are various recipes online. She only had to look on Google and I've seen many recipes for Filipino spaghetti. But the recipes that I've seen are of a spaghetti that looks absolutely fantastic. It's very colourful. There's loads of sauce. There's loads of ingredients. And her spaghetti just looks like a very basic plate of spaghetti that she's kind of quickly whipped up with hardly any ingredients. And, you know, as I said, she's the vice president of the Republic of the Philippines. And her handing out this this bowl of spaghetti, or this plate of spaghetti, like the people she's handing it to are like lepers, if you like. It's like, there you are, there it is, and it's this great big mound of a plain anemic spaghetti without any mince, without any hot dogs. It's just embarrassing. With the greatest respect, Mam Leni, you know, with the greatest respect, this probably wasn't your most famous moment. So you used to be called Leni Lugao, but now I think you're going to be called My Spaghetti Girl, or My Anemia Spaghetti Girl, or whatsoever. But, you know, joking apart, you know, I do wish you the well. I do wish you the very best. And I think what you're doing in terms of helping the poor, I think is absolutely fine. I think nobody has any objection to helping people in poverty, helping people without food. But one plate of spaghetti is not really going to make any difference. One plate of spaghetti is not going to save a hungry family. And again, it wasn't even covered up. So by the time they brought it to their family, you know, it could have flies, it could be cold, they're not going to have a microwave at home. Are they going to heat it up properly? You know, it's just a sticking plaster, isn't it? It's not the real solution. I don't really see the intention behind it. Maybe if you wanted to hand people maybe some cash money, because I know you're getting millions and millions of pesos in donations. If you wanted to go and knock on people's houses in terms of the pandemic and hand them a sum of money, maybe a portion of rice, maybe a couple of tins of sardines, I think that would be absolutely fine. But this is an absolute PR disaster. And I'm sorry to say it's not your finest moment. I hope I don't get cut off for this. I hope I don't get my freedom of speech censored. You know, I really do. I really do hope that doesn't happen, because I'm entitled to my freedom of speech just as much as the next person. I just wanted to read out a couple of your comments before we finish this video. Upgraded Dal Sir Malcolm. So it's kind of upgraded from Lugar, right? So it's upgraded to like Filipino spaghetti. Hi Conlan. Watching from Shepperton, Victoria, Australia. Hi Rose. Hi Rudy from Belfast. Ha ha ha, bullseye, nanaman silugs. Yeah, thanks to everyone watching. She just needs the spotlight, and I think that's what it is, you know. I think it was a PR opportunity. If she'd have been in a professional kitchen, there'd been hundreds of people queuing, and she'd been handing them food parcels, I don't think anybody would have minded. But merely handing out a plate of uncovered spaghetti is not the best PR moment. Hi Feli, watching from Bahrain. You are doing well, sir. Pauline Flo, hello Pomabuhai. Carson Malcolm, watching from South Australia. God bless. So thanks very much for watching. Somebody else said, RCDJ Cord, I would have settled for Jollibee spaghetti, Walang Kasing Sarap. I think that's a good point. You know, maybe Jollibee could have been, I don't know, I didn't want to bring them into it, but maybe if she'd have bought some Jollibee spaghetti and handed that out, that looks absolutely masarap, absolutely delicious. You know, it has a good color, it's properly mixed, it doesn't look anemic. The spaghetti has some color. At the very least, if you can't really afford to put meat on it, at least put a bit of tomato ketchup. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Maraming salamat. Do I understand Tagalog? Konti lang, I'm not fluent. Hello, Marie Cliff from Laguna. Thank you for watching. Yeah, guys, thanks very much. Very best wishes. And, of course, my greatest respect to the Philippines, to the Filipino people. And I mean no disrespect to the Vice President of the Philippines. I merely point out to her that she needs to improve her PR. If she wants to continue in politics, she needs to use a good PR team and maybe even if she can't make a good thing of spaghetti, maybe she needs to employ a chef to hand out a professional spaghetti. She needs to put it into a polystyrene container. So yeah, that was an absolute PR disaster. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Best wishes.